for many entrepreneurs, like we are the product.
Yeah.
I am the product. I am the advisor for my clients. If I am in a rut, if I am not taking care of myself, if I'm not mentally tough, I'm not going to do as well for my clients, and they're not getting the value that they need. Stick to it and build that mental toughness in yourself.
So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is, we've been friends for a long time, and I know your background in faith and also business, but it's been really interesting to see how you guys have kind of started your business, and you have that, what I call like a really unique touch and a niche market of, leaders and business owners and people growing their wealth, but they also are very mindful of faith and conscious of the world and making it a better place. So tell us more about how you guys first started and what makes your business different, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll actually go back to my beginnings too. Growing up in Spartanburg, my whole family is full of entrepreneurs, Christian entrepreneurs. So my dad is a commercial realtor, commercial broker, as you know, and he wouldn't mind me sharing the story. But leading up to 2008, he was crushing it, super high net worth. I mean, heavy in risk assets, so real estate, raw land, different things that he was doing very well. And going into 2008, that his whole world changed and our whole world changed. Thankfully, we were able to get through that by God's grace, and he'll still, that's his testimony today, is he's able to share he was on the throne before 2008, and now God's on the throne. So that's been a really cool transition. My parents' marriage grew during that time when a lot of marriages were breaking up. So that was just a God thing. So I got to see that firsthand, and that actually inspired me to go into financial planning. Wow. So seeing the decisions he made, super risky, did not have an advisor, he was kind of doing everything on his own. It really led me to find the industry, and so I went to Clemson, as you know, and graduated from there knowing I wanted to go into the industry, and I stepped into an independent firm. So that fast forwards us to about 7 years ago, and I met Mike Kuckel, my current business partner. He's bivocational, so he's a pastor, co-pastor of a church. He also has 10 kids, which is another job, and but he's also a financial advisor as well, and so. He was at Merrill Lynch at the time, and I was at the independent firm in Greenville, and we were both just realizing that there was a conflict with our faith and the financial world. Just a very secular, focused on greed and fear. That's what the markets are driven by typically is fear and greed, and so being able to see that and take a step back. We've been able to, we came together in late 2017 and started Sovereign Financial. We started from scratch, so pretty much at zero. It was a scary time, but it was a time where we just put all faith in God that, we gave it to the Lord, and we said, Lord, we'll start at zero or we'll start at 100 clients. It doesn't matter, but we know this is what you called us to do. So Sovereign Financial is different because we want our clients to be good stewards. Our mission is to help and equip our clients to be good stewards of all they've been entrusted with. So what that means is not just financial planning or tithing or giving, but it's just all of life. So investment management from a biblical perspective, or from a values-based perspective. We actually have a lot of clients who are not Christians, but they have strong values. So investing in companies you can be proud to own, and avoiding companies that may be antithetical to your faith. So really what that looks like in practice is we don't want to profit from things like abortion, pornography, et cetera in our portfolios, because we really look at things from an ownership perspective. If I'm an owner of a company, even though you own one share of a company and there may be billions of, that company may be worth billions, you own one share, you're an owner of that company. And so you're responsible for the profits and what that company is actually doing. It doesn't feel like it because you invest in a mutual fund or an ETF or some type of investment vehicle, and you don't see those in companies that you're actually owning, but you do own them. Yeah. And so being able to not just avoid the negative companies, but really be able to invest in companies that are promoting human flourishing, that's our dream. There's no perfect portfolio. So we live in a fallen world. we're not investing in just Christian companies. These are companies just creating a good product at a fair price and paying their employees well. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, and I think an interesting thing I was thinking about as you were talking is like, we look at porn industry, abortion, whatever type of industry it is. It's like we think about people and, oh, this person's wicked or this is a bad person, but it's like it really is all ran and produced by money and from money and resource. Like that's what's I feel like driving it is like, yeah, that CEO or that person or that person that's speaking about it all the time on YouTube, like that person's going to die off. But like this industry or these industries are all, financially ran, and they're going to keep going as long as everybody's pumping their money into it, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, the type of impact we can have when we take capital from companies, industries like that, and put it into companies and industries that you can be proud to own. I mean, less than 1% of Christians are aligning their faith and their investments together. Mm-hmm. Like imagine all the Christians in the world if they took this approach and they took their investment dollars and they took it away from those industries, from those companies, it would have a huge impact on this world. So it's a really exciting concept. It's an exciting thing. It's been done for many years now, and so we're seeing it really take hold. And honestly, I mean, clients are coming to us, and they're not getting these options elsewhere, and they realize that there's no other way to invest. Like there's no other way to do it but this way. Mm-hmm.
And I've said this a lot recently as I've talked to other business leaders. It's like, like you said, even if they're not people of faith, Christians, whatever, it's like they're getting a better service from you guys because you are Christians and because you are people of faith. And it's like, I think that's something worth saying too is, okay, maybe they're coming for values or maybe they're coming to me for certain services, but like, even if they're not believers and they might not even know why they're getting treated better, they are because our company or your company has this moral compass that is driving them.
Well, and it's not just slapping the Christian fish symbol, right? Like, and it's typically in the past, if you have a Christian fish symbol, you may get worse service. Yeah. But that's not what we're called to in Scripture. We're called to be excellent in everything we do and to stand out. And so that's what we try to do. It's just a really exciting thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think something that we've talked about on the podcast with other guests is like how when you first get into business, if you don't know what you're doing, which I at the beginning did not know what I'm doing and still don't at times, but like especially if you don't know what you're doing, you have this fear that you want to serve everybody and you want everyone to use your service. And I think the more I've read into it and realized from talking to people, that's the worst thing you can do is like, so in a way you are creating a niche market, but people are going to say no to you because they do support some of the things. But then it's like, for the people that want that, you're just that perfect path for them to go down.
Yeah, we've seen it. It's really been a great business strategy as well. Not just it's who we are and how we live, but we've seen it really create more traction even online. We're having people find us online, which I never thought would be possible in our industry. There's so much marketing dollars behind, a large firm. I don't want to name names, but the large firms out there are spending millions of dollars on marketing. And so to be able to market I call it niche, might be niche, but I call it niche.
It's probably either one.
But in order to market to our niche, it is super helpful. So we've always said like specialize, choose a niche. That's super important for every entrepreneur to really know who you serve. And one thing I did want to talk about is a lot of people ask the question, like, if I invest this way, do I have to sacrifice return? Like, am I giving something up to align my values? And we have never seen that to be the case. I mean, this has been happening for years, this type of investing. The great thing is we have outperformed benchmarks. Now, we always have to give disclosures, right? We're in an industry of disclosures. Past performance does not indicate future returns, so don't take that as, hey, we're always going to outperform. But I think we've just seen over time that it's a viable investment strategy and can actually produce alpha, positive returns through investing aligned with your values.
That's good. I'm curious, like when someone, you feel like someone first comes through the door or you have that first Zoom call or whatever, like with y'all's business specifically, what do you feel like they're connecting with, or like what is it they're saying to you that you feel like is, man, this is probably why they, made the change or whatever?
I think it's just because we are who we are, and we're not hiding that. And I think that really connects with people when you're not trying to fit in to everyone else. My advice is just be transparent, be who you are, and people you're supposed to work with will work with you, and they will be even more of a tribe. They will truly have your back. And I think that's one thing that we've seen is because we have such a strong niche, we haven't really seen many clients ever leave, through ups and downs and markets and all types of situations. We've really never seen many clients leave and who were value aligned. We've not seen any clients leave who were value aligned. So I think that it reinforced to us the importance of finding clients who fit our niche and who are value aligned.
I know you mentioned this earlier, but you said, y'all started literally basically at zero. You knew some people in the city, but besides that, you started at zero. So you guys are kind of, you have this office now. Like, what are you sensing just from your own business side? Like, what's growth looking like right now? What are you feeling for like, oh, well, we started at zero, but kind of how are you feeling about now?
Yeah, Mike and I, being 50-50 partners, we share our book of business. So we want to keep growing that side. That's my passion. I love working with clients. I love helping families, build out a financial plan and just really be able to stick to it and achieve their goals. Like, that's my passion. Mike has a big type of CEO mindset, and he wants to see growth and investment, not just in clients, but in our team. So we are growing as a team. We've brought on a few advisors who've joined Sovereign, and we have an amazing assistant, Kelly, and we see ourselves continuing to grow through that. And I think we want Sovereign Financial not just for financial gain, but we want Sovereign Financial to be a brand where people know that, hey, we can go work with them. Even if we have 50 advisors one day, we can go work with one of those advisors and they're going to be value aligned, and we know what we're going to get by working with Sovereign. So I think that's the big vision. And Mike is leading a lot of that charge while I'm focused on serving the client and continuing to grow our personal clients.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of business partnership, and I think especially with YouTube content of hustle and business, it all glorifies the you're the guy, or you're, so I think even getting into that now myself with my own business is just, I've seen partnership. I think it, in the wrong sense, it can go wrong, but when it's right, it's really good. And so what have you sensed through that? You mentioned it some, but just sharing different responsibilities, leaning into who each of you are, what's that been like?
Yeah. It's sad to admit, but we knew each other pretty well going into the partnership, but we didn't know each other on a deep enough level. Praise God that he had ordained that partnership and that it was supposed to work out and it's supposed to be that way. So we've just found Mike and I are very different. We butt heads a lot, but in a good way. So he's more big picture vision, get everybody excited, and I'm the operations guy. So I help implement. I'm the details person. And so we just found there was a really good fit there. I don't know if we would have succeeded if we were both details people like I am, or if we were both big vision people, we probably wouldn't be able to serve the client very well. So we did pray a lot. It was a lot of prayer going into it, making sure we were taking the right step. And transparently, Mike having 10 kids and going from a larger firm and taking a jump to $0 of income was a very scary thing. Thankfully I could eat rice and beans. Being young and single, I was fine. But the partnership, ultimately we just got to glorify God for what he did in bringing us together.
Yeah. So I want to go back to, I love what you said. You put greed and fear together, and I think, yes, with investing, but even just with business and leadership and growing your own personal wealth, I think a lot of, at times, a temptation, my decisions or anyone's decisions can be dictated by fear, or people can work themselves to death out of greed. And so I love that pairing. I would love to dig any deeper that you want to, just into hey, this person just started their business, or they work for a corporate company and they're building their personal wealth, like how easy is it for greed and fear to drive that life?
Well, you see it in the markets. I hate to keep going back to the markets, but you see it in the markets that, fear and greed have driven people to buy high and sell low. Everyone wants to buy low and sell high, but people are making money in the market's flying, and you want to jump in. You finally, oh man, they made so much money. I feel like I might miss out. And you buy, and then the market drops. And then you get to the point where you're sick and you're fearful, and you sell. And so this, what we do for clients, we're long-term investment strategy. We're not trying to day trade. We're not trying to pick and choose. We're trying to build a plan that works for them. So going back to the fear and the greed piece, we try to take that out of the equation for clients. We try to have a process where we're not looking at these decisions from an emotional point of view, that we're trying to take that fear and greed out.
I would also like to just even dig more. I loved the story of your parents, and we've talked about that, but like, what are some things that you feel like you've kind of gleaned even from your dad or your parents with entrepreneurship? And obviously it's in your family line, but what are some things that you think you've kind of...
I know the easy answer is to say hard work, but I learned it from a very young age. As a child, my friends, you included, would want to come over on weekends, or we want to do something, and I had my work I was assigned to do. So we had chores. We had to wash the cars, sweep the garage. Like I would be assigned 6 hours a weekend of painting a massive fence around my parents' pasture. And so that was something I was in middle school, high school, and I hated it.
I want people to know too, like this was even kind of after your dad's business had turned a positive direction and things were good again financially. And so it's like, even after that, it wasn't like, oh, well, I spent my whole middle school and high school and his business was struggling from 2008. It's like, no, we were back in a good place, but he still imparted this.
Oh yeah,
level
it was very consistent, very consistent hard work, no matter what happened. So, but I've learned that to this day, and I feel like I'm gonna outwork as many people as I can.
Because I have one little memory I had yesterday was like when I was at your house, and for some reason he assigned us to paint the basketball lines. But it was like, it wasn't that much work, but it was very precise. And it was like, all right, you guys, we're going to do this. We're going to get the string. Jordan, take this. We'll take, So there was some participation there.
With hard work, with values, like they instilled a lot of these values in me of faith, obviously. And that guides every move I make. I try to put it before the Lord. Obviously, I fail at that every day. I'm a sinner, but I'm just thankful for what they instilled in me: values, hard work, and I definitely got my smarts from my mom. So my dad was not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he outworks everybody, and so I got a little bit of both of that and some of his personality as well.
Yeah, you mentioned early on just like the beans and rice mentality, that we're starting this and I'm literally choosing to not have a good job right now. And I think I wanted to ask you about that because I believe in investing financially, but I think there's also the idea, especially when we're younger, is investing in ourselves and investing in, what have you learned through that, or what would you encourage someone kind of our age that's like, I'm about to go get a car loan, or I'm about, I think a lot of that's financial, but some of it's just mindset too. Especially the more time you spend on social, the more time you spend watching the next YouTube guru, those are trails that don't really lead anywhere, buy my $700 course or whatever. And, there's a place for online learning, and there's definitely things that are worth your money, but I think a lot of what's sold on hustle culture and YouTube is this like, well, you need this to go to the next level, or you need to buy this, and it's just not real.
You need mental toughness. Like I hesitate to bring up a program I'm doing right now because I don't want to be that guy, but I'm doing a program called 75 Hard, and it's 75 days, and it's I would say it's an Ironman for your mind, and it is all about mental toughness. Like, what do you have? What it takes when the conditions around you are not favorable? Are you still going to do what you should do? And it goes back to character and integrity. But this program I'm doing is really making me, make the decision. It's forcing me to make the decision of, am I going to do what I said I was going to do?
The last person that I heard, you said 75 Hard? That's what it's called?
Yep, 75.
The last time I heard someone tell me that, it was a friend of mine. He was in a lot of debt. his business was going down. He said, I'm going to be a YouTuber. I'm starting 75 hard. I'm cutting myself off from what money I do have. And he's like, multi-millionaire YouTuber, moved out to LA. But like, there was that, he had to switch, turn that switch. And I think people just get in those, I feel like in a way I'm in one where it's like, you don't expect to start over, but you're starting over with some new venture, and you realize like, oh, this is actually, and you know this from the beginning, but this is a really tiny snowball, and this is like, I'm at zero. I may have accomplished something over here, but I'm, life is causing me to transition to something else, and you have to have that level of mental toughness, like you said, because I think there are so many, especially when you work for yourself, there's so many opportunities to cut corners and compromise and say, I don't need to do this, or I'll do this tomorrow. And I think I've dealt with that a lot of just, it's I'm not doing anything terrible. It's just, I could have done that in 5 minutes, but I put it off for 2 days, and it's not helping me get anywhere.
So I think, a program like 75 Hard, I'm not advertising for 75 Hard. I don't get royalties from it. No links below. A program like 75 Hard has really caused me to be more efficient with my time, because there's limited time in the day. And because of that, I'm being more efficient, more mental toughness. Yeah. It is really helping me. And I would recommend, whatever program someone does, like, stick to it and build that mental toughness in yourself. Because that ultimately, it's not about yes, prospecting and growing your business, that's really important. But for many entrepreneurs, like, we are the product. Yeah. I am the product. I am the advisor for my clients. If I am in a rut, if I am not taking care of myself, if I'm not mentally tough, I'm not going to do as well for my clients, and they're not getting the value that they need. So for any entrepreneur, like, invest in yourself and make sure you're taking care of yourself, because you are the product. Yeah.
And you mentioned, I wanted to kind of go there since we're here already, but when we talked on the phone this morning, you're like, I've been up since 5, or, I asked you if you were up or whatever. So that's one thing, but like, you can share that, but like, what are some things you've developed, or even just rhythms or processes that, no one's perfect, but you feel like they help you, run on your own at times?
Yeah, I think in times when I've been in a rut, I'll sleep until 7:30, and I wake up and I come into the office and I'm just kind of slowly moving, and I have so many fires to put out. Yeah. I started about a year ago. I started waking up every morning at 5 a.m. Not on weekends. I may sleep. Now my sleep schedule has changed, so I'll sleep until about 6 a.m. on weekends. But I wake up at 5 a.m. and immediately go to the gym, knock out my first workout of the day. So I'm doing 2 workouts a day. Mm-hmm. And I come back and make a big breakfast, get in the Word. I really spend the time I need, in the vine, with Jesus. And I spend that time, take care of myself, and I'm at the office by 8 a.m. and I've already had a 3-hour start to my day, when, typically I'd be sleeping and then walking into the office. Yeah. So I think having some type of morning, I call it my morning success ritual. Mm-hmm. I stole that from someone else, but I have things I walk through every morning. Like, I read the same thing every day. Like, why am I motivated today? Like, why do I need to be motivated today? My future family can't eat. My business will fail. Like, showing those things, but also like the positive things that we're called to do. And so not only do I do my quiet time Bible study, but like I walk through that as well. And I really build the motivation for the day, because we all know as entrepreneurs, like, things don't go like we expect during the day. And if you're not built up, you will easily crack and you will break.
Yeah, and this is a bit random, but I think something I haven't really ever shared this on here, but like a regret I have now was probably what one was it before COVID, 2019? Mm-hmm. I was probably riding more high with my, videography, photography, events and wedding business. And I kind of probably slipped into this like 6 months to a year of just comfort. And I think that would be a regret I have now of like, man, when things were going good, I wish I would have developed those practices. I wish I would have actually, not to be crazy, but like put the pedal to the metal when things were good. And that would have ridden me a lot better through some tough times. Like you said, something's going to happen, whether it's days or weeks or years of tough times. And I think, that's something I want to adjust moving forward is like, if you have those rhythms, you have those habits, like they kind of stick when things are crap and they stick when you're like, you have the temptation to lax off because you have more.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not, it's not like I'm better than everyone else because I'm waking up at 5 a.m. It's just that I go back to mental toughness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when that alarm goes off and you didn't sleep well and you feel like crap, do you get up and put your feet on the ground, or do you turn your alarm off? And so I think, building those habits, ultimately, when I'm consistent and waking up at 5 a.m., I'm better in my business. So whatever you commit to, actually follow through on it, I think is the big thing.
And I feel like from even this morning, I was thinking about it. It's like when I get out of the early mornings, it's like I'm going to have to get up early and re-kick in that rhythm, and it's going to suck for like a couple of days and then it's going to force you to go, I'm going to go to bed a little earlier. And it readjusts everything. But for people that aren't, say, in something like a get up early or go to the gym, like that first little bit is going to be hard, whereas then your life adjusts and you go, well, I'm really tired and it's 9:30. You adjust to those. And not that it's never hard to get up again, but I think it's just when you're first making those changes that they do kind of shock your body a bit.
Yeah. There are sacrifices we need to make. Like I go to bed, I'm in bed by 9 every night.
Yeah.
I'm lights out, 9:15. And so that is a completely different life than I used to live. I'm 29 years old, and I'm going to bed at 9, and on weekends I can barely stay up past 10. So I'm sacrificing social things with friends and all of that because I have these goals, and I have a lot of great friends, and I love to spend time with them, but these goals are super important to me and future family and my overall plan.
Yeah, I've never thought of this, but I wonder how often, and maybe we'll be able to tell in 10 years, but it's like, I feel like you see a ton of really, visibly successful people in their 40s, 50s, and it's like, I wonder how many people are kind of where we are, which is late 20s, you're in your own business, you're kind of, it's successful, but it's not like you're not rolling in, so I think it's just, there's something about that. There's going to be those in-between seasons where people aren't like thinking you're the greatest thing. And it's not about what people think, but I just wonder how many of those people in their 40s, 50s, 60s had those 20s years, 30s years where they kind of were just grinding and, we need to rest and we need to reset and all that. But I think maybe that's just a part of some people's process, is just kind of, to our friends and family, like they would say we're successful, they're proud of us, but it's not this just booming crazy, thing.
Yeah, I'm in that middle phase like you talked about, right? I'm not going to buy a new car.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be very smart. I'm getting married, so I'm trying to be smart about that as well. Complete life change happening.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, how many people who are successful now? We look at those people now and we think, oh man, must have been. It must be nice being in their shoes, but we don't see the work that they put in. And I think, now we're in that phase of we're putting in the work, and we trust God that we don't trust God to be rich, but we trust God that He's going to take care of us and take care of our family. And He promises that as long as if you work hard.
Yeah. And you mentioned a big part of like the business is stewardship, and even something I've kind of seen through reading the Bible and just listening to some teachings lately is like, and it's not just about the tithe, but God has an intended order for His world. And I think that's something, as I've been reading, it's like, where am I not in line with this order or this? And it's not, like you said, it's not legalistic, it's not discipline, it's just, I hate to say this because people have made this sound wrong, but like it is a path to blessing, not always financial, not always, riches, but like, His order is there, and I feel like there's so many times it's just our human nature for us to like go our own way. And so, I don't know. I think what you said earlier, stewardship is something that, like I said, when times got good for me, I laxed off. Well, the money's coming in. I'm doing these projects once a month, but like how many other opportunities could I have really pushed into with that extra time that would have helped carry me through, a bad year? So.
Yeah, I mean, but that was a learning experience, right? And you realize like what's going to happen next time is going to be different. And stewardship, yes, it's used a lot with financial conversation, but stewardship is of life. Yeah. Like that's what we're helping our clients with. So how do we help them align their faith with everything that they do? Their business, their work, their families, like all of that. How do we help align their faith?
If someone is in their 20s to 40s, like and obviously you can't give them specific financial advice because you don't know their story, but what would you say, like, I'd seriously consider at least doing this, even if it's not in the market, but even with your own personal finances or whatever.
Yeah, not knowing their personal situation. So given that disclaimer, this is educational. I would recommend, consumer debt. Not having consumer debt's very important. High interest rate debt. So really anything over 5-6%. Now house interest rates are now 7%. So we're getting into a different realm. But lack of no consumer debt, healthy emergency savings. So what really that looks like is maybe 6 months of your expenses, 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. So if you lost your job today, you lost all your business today, could you live another 6 months? So those two are crucial. And then really a saving plan of retirement accounts, like Roth IRA is great. Everyone talks about a Roth IRA, but it really is a great vehicle. So those are just the initial steps, I would say, but combination of paying down consumer debt, mortgage debt, real estate debt, generally we're okay with that. But it's also with our clients' personal convictions. Like some of our clients don't want any debt. They don't care that they have a 3% interest rate on their home. They want to pay it off. And so we're not gonna conflict with their goal, even though financially speaking, it's probably smarter for them to invest that money rather than pay it off. We're not going to tell them no because that's a personal conviction.
And I think a big thing, we were talking about fear and greed and all that, I just think decision making is huge because you're watching politics, you're watching the news, you're watching Fox News, CNN, whatever, and you can easily knee jerk into like, oh my gosh, I got to sell all this, or I got to pull this out, or I got to sell this property. And like, I've pulled money out, I've done things like that, but it's just, I feel like people, if you don't have that, and maybe this is where we kind of land the plane, but if you don't have that morning time in the Word or those rhythms in place, it's very easy to just knee jerk on a bad day.
Yeah, I mean, you turn on CNBC, you turn on a financial news outlet, and you're going to think the world is falling. If the stock market is down 1%, you're gonna have that fear we talked about, and we've had clients that we've talked through those decisions, and thankfully many of them have stayed invested and stuck with the plan, but it's all driven on fear, like we just talked about. And I think landing the plane, you need someone to help you walk through those decisions, but you need that routine. You need to be in the Word and have mental toughness.
Thanks so much for listening to today's podcast. As always, the links to things we mentioned are below in the comments. The links to Will's business, social media, different things like that, you can all find that below.